Hi, this is JP from Studio JPEG. In this video, I will be showing what I consider to be the minimum equipment needed to do wedding photography and other events. You can certainly get away with using even less equipment than this, but I believe with this equipment that anybody should be comfortable and able to get most shots without too much trouble. So the first part that you will need, obviously, is a camera. And for that, I use the Canon T2i camera. And the reason for that one is I feel it's the lowest camera that has some great quality. The ISO you can use easily up to ISO 800 and sometimes even 1600 for photography, and you'll be fine. Other than that, the image quality is good. It's 18 megapixels, which is plenty. There are some more expensive cameras out there, but really this is the minimum that I would recommend, and it does quite a great job. The other aspect I recommend is to have a few different lenses. And when I go to a wedding, what I try to do is, as you see, I have my camera on the carry speed strap here, and on the other side I have a little satchel with some extra lenses, and that way I can change lenses on the move with no problem. So the three lenses I bring with me are my 18 to 55 millimeter IS lens, and it's for crop sensor cameras only. You can see my review of this lens, but it's a great wide angle to standard lens. The only big downside to it is the aperture is f3.5 to 5.6, but I'm going to use the flash to take care of that problem. The other lens that I like using is the Canon 50mm f1.8 lens. It's a fixed lens. The image quality of this one is absolutely amazing, and you can take photos in low light situations, which are quite abundant in most weddings. Weddings tend to be at nighttime, indoors, and all sorts of poorly lit situations, so that's a great lens for that. Another lens that I recommend is the Tamron 70 to 300mm telephoto zoom lens. I have the SP version with VC, which is vibration control, so I can hold it steadier at a slower shutter speed with no problem at all. I can do up to 1/50th of a second with this lens at 300mm with the VC on, and the images are going to come out great. One downside of this lens is the aperture is f4 to 5.6. So when I'm using either this one or my 18 to 55mm lens, I tend to set the camera on manual, keep the aperture at 5.6 so it doesn't vary as I zoom in and out. And then the shutter speed, I put it at 1/50th of a second, which is the slowest I can handhold without introducing any kind of blur or anything like that. And the rest I control with the ISO and the flash intensity. That's how I'm going to control the light. The flash I use is the Yongnuo YN560 version 2. It's a manual flash, so it's not a TTL flash. So what I tend to do is I keep it on maximum power most of the time. And then with the ISO, I try to gauge the distance to the subject. And for example, from here to the microwave, I figure ISO 400 is probably fine. So I bounce it off and I use a Stoffen to minimize the shadows. And then I just go in, click, and it's not going to be a great picture, but the exposure is right. Just to show that using a manual flash is not that much of an issue. It's actually quite easier than I initially thought it would be. So that's great. Another thing that I always carry with me in the pouch here is a spare battery for the camera. Because the last thing you want is your camera to run out of battery right in the middle of a ceremony or even at the party afterwards. You can try to find a time where it's more adequate than to change your battery to make sure you're always fresh and good to go. And also I bring some spare memory cards. I like these are the SanDisk Extreme 16 gigabyte cards. And they're quite fast, so you can burst images with no problem at all. And also for videos, they're quite great. They're very solid, and they can survive underwater for a long period of time. So they keep your images safe. And at the end of the day, that's the most important part, is to make sure that you have images to deliver to your customers. And the last thing I bring is a coin. This happens to be a 50-cent coin from Mexico. And basically for the carry speed strap, there is a screw at the bottom here. So if I need to remove the strap or if I want to tighten it, I just use the coin. And you can use a screwdriver, but they actually do recommend a coin and it works quite nicely. I think the 5 cents from Canada or US, no problem at all, those work very nicely also. I do keep my bracket here for mounting on the tripod in case I need it to, if I bring the tripod with me. It depends on how the church is laid out and the reception area and all that, if I have room for a tripod or not. If I do have room, then I bring the tripod and I keep the plate on. But if there's no room, then I'm going to remove the plate and it's going to be one less thing hanging around on the camera. The pouch, whenever I have a chance, I like to get it off my shoulder because weddings and baptisms and other ceremonies like that, they do last for quite a while. So you'll be standing up and carrying a lot of weight on you. And the more you can take off, the better it is. But what I really love is the carry speed strap. It really takes the weight off your neck. If you have the old typical type of neck strap, then you walk like this and at the end of the day you can't feel your neck and you basically need a chiropractor or something the next day. But with this strap, it's really nice. It takes the weight off of your shoulders, off of your back, and you can just stand like this, no problem at all, for long periods of time. Even when you have a camera with a long telephoto lens and a flash on it, no problem at all. This strap will take the weight off of you. So if you have any questions about any of the gear I listed, I did reviews of all of them on my channel. But if you have other questions or suggestions or comments, please leave them in the box below. Please click like if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel to see more. And have a great day.